Ingram has proven himself as one of the NFL's most consistent tight ends.
Going on year 3 here in Jax already. Definitely feel at home, feel confident, feel comfortable.
Mandarin 4-star senior safety Hilton Stubbs will stay in the Sunshine State, choosing the culture of Miami over the Gators.
And then like the culture of Miami, like the safety culture with Ed Reed, Sean Taylor, like I want to be one of those next guys.
Following the loss to the Knights, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp will once again take on the team in Charlotte. This evening, the first pitch is at 7:04. The Jacksonville Sharks of the Indoor Football League are in Des Moines to square off against the Iowa Barnstormers on Saturday evening. Game time is 8:05. That's your 1010XL local sports update. I'm Sam Nelson on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
At 6 o'clock, it's 90 degrees. Time and temp are brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Friday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Casey Dobson. In for Dylan Denmark tonight. I'm the Hacker, Ryan Green. Hope you had a terrific 4th of July. Enjoyed the fireworks, the fellowship. I know people in the Mandarin area were getting after it deep into the night last night, but that's all right. Every once in a while on the 4th of July, I'm okay with that. So it was a lot of fun. Hope you guys had a great time as well. Kind of a weird scenario coming back on a Friday, man, but there is a ton to get into. We are 2 weeks away from today, as a matter of fact. 2 weeks away from the Jaguar rookies reporting to training camp. The college football season starts in about 6.5 weeks, and with that as a backdrop, coming up in less than 15 minutes, how about Phil Steele? He of the Phil Steele College Football Preview. I think it's the best preseason magazine every single year. It is on newsstands now. It is available at philsteele.com, and Phil Steele will join us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Coming up in less than 15 minutes, we will talk to Phil about Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Miami, and more. Always enjoy the conversation with Phil Steele, and he comes up here in less than 15 minutes. Also, JP Shadrick of Jaguars.com. I had the opportunity to catch up with JP before the Jaguars took off for the summer late last week. So we'll bring you those comments from JP Shadrick as, again, Jaguar rookies are now 2 weeks away from reporting to training camp. We're loaded in the 7 o'clock hour as well. Our NFC West preview will finish off tonight as we will go out to Arizona and talk with Tyler Drake of ArizonaSports.com. The new home for Zay Jones, right, in Arizona. Kyler Murray's healthy. Marvin Harrison Jr. in the fold. So we'll talk about the Arizona Cardinals offseason as well. That comes up in the 7 o'clock hour. But as we always do, to kick it off here on Hacker After Dark, we give you a big deal of the night. And Casey Dobson. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
My big deal of the night is college football related, but I would be remiss, excuse me, if I didn't bring this up. I understand that I'm not going to sit here for the next 2 hours and break down the Spain-Germany matchup in the Euro championships earlier, or break down what we just saw in France and Portugal. But if you are a sports fan, whether you even like soccer or not is almost irrelevant. If you are a fan, the theater in both of those games today, absolutely incredible. European championships are played once every 4 years. I actually happened to be in Europe in 1996. I was over there with my church group. My grandma took me over there. I was 12 years old as Euro 96 was going on, and that's where I found an appreciation for it. They live and die with their countries out there. I mean, Portugal just lost on a penalty shootout a matter of moments ago And it's complete devastation in the stands. I mean, just devastation. I mean, I guess it's kind of similar if Florida and Florida State are playing. Florida loses a game to Florida State in overtime, and you don't get a chance to play them again for another 4 years at least. I mean, that would be brutal, right? Now, as it is, you get a shot every year. But obviously, the European Championships are every 4 years. World Cups every 4 years. So these losses in soccer mean a little more because you don't get a chance for retribution 12 months later. And just the theater of it, the reality TV aspect of it. Spain beat Germany in the final minute today. Final minute to win and knock off Germany. And then obviously France just beat Portugal in a penalty shootout. It was tremendous theater. Tremendous drama. For July 5th in the middle of a Friday afternoon, sign me up for that any day of the week. That was a heck of a lot of fun. I hope if some of you saw it, you can appreciate it as well. But it will be France and Spain in the semifinals on Tuesday. Tomorrow, the other quarterfinals, you got the Netherlands and Turkey, and you got England taking on Switzerland. That is your 2 minutes of soccer talk here on Hacker After Dark. Back into the world of college football. I mentioned Phil Steele comes up in less than 10 minutes. Both Mario Cristobal and Billy Napier are entering year 3 for their respective programs. Cristobal at Miami, Billy Napier obviously at the University of Florida. They're on the same exact timeline. Yet there is no question that the pressure, the hot seat talk has been ratcheted way more on Napier and Gainesville than it has been on Mario Cristobal and Coral Gables. And while I don't think the outcome of August 31st will necessarily change that narrative, I will tell you this. I've talked to enough Miami people in the last couple of weeks where if Miami loses to Billy in the Swamp, a game that Miami people firmly expect to win, mind you, even though they're the road team, if Miami loses that game, I do believe at that point there will be some questions about Mario Cristobal. Now, I don't believe that game is necessarily as big for Mario as it is for Billy Napier. It's gigantic for Billy Napier. If you lose to Miami opening day at home, Gator Nation's already not happy, and that will add to it. So it is a bigger deal for Napier, don't get me wrong. But I do get the vibe, and talking to Miami fans, Miami friends of mine, that if Cristobal were to lose that game on August the 31st, people are not going to be happy with that. People are going to be, wait a minute, year 3, you're losing to Napier, he's on a hot seat. Where is the progress? I've said for a while now, to me, that Florida game against Miami is important, yes. I almost think A&M is more important 2 weeks later. Mario Cristobal and Billy Napier are on the same timeline. Well, Billy Napier is 2.5 years ahead of Mike Elko at Texas A&M, right? That'll be Elko's 3rd game as the Aggies coach, having to come to Gainesville. Napier is in year 3. If Billy loses to A&M, who he's 2 years ahead of on the timeline of coaches, that is a serious red flag. It would be a disaster for Florida to go 0-2 against Miami and A&M. I'm expecting 1-1, but I don't necessarily think 2-0 is out of the equation either. But back to the original point. Gigantic game August 31st for both Napier and Cristobal, but I do get the sense that if Miami were to lose, people are going to start questioning Mario at the beginning of year 3 there in Coral Gables. We're going to talk a lot of Florida, Florida State, Miami, Georgia as well, with the best preseason magazine out there. I love it. Phil Steele has been doing it for years. He joins us every year around this time on Hacker After Dark, and he will join us in less than 10 minutes. Let's talk college football. Let's talk playoff. Let's talk Phil Steele with the man himself, he of the Phil Steele preseason football magazine. That's next on a Friday evening in Jacksonville, Florida. Happy July 5th to all of you out there. With Casey Dobson, the hacker Ryan Green with you. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM. It's Hacker After Dark.
Where Jaguars fans find common ground.
Duval till we die.
1010XL.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. I'm wearing a shirt today that I haven't wore in a long, long time. I discovered a whole portion of my closet that I didn't even remember existed in the very back corner, because all the shirts back there I hadn't worn for years and years and years. I'm wearing them now. And why am I doing that? Well, it's all thanks to Awaken 180, the best weight loss program I have ever been on. This morning I got on the scale. 78 pounds is what I've lost since February 20th. 78 pounds. If I can do it, more importantly, you can do it. If it's time for you to lose weight like it was for me, make the call. 844-346-1800 or go online. Awaken180weightloss.com. 4.5 months from now, you could be the one putting shirts on you haven't worn in years. Trust me. Awaken 180 weight loss.
Folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it, they do it. Whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are looking for top talent to join our team. If you are a plumber, CDL driver, or have experience installing septic drain fields, come join Duck Duck Rooter and let's win together. We offer our players a full package that includes excellent weekly pay, paid holidays, health insurance, and new state-of-the-art equipment. Log on to DuckDuckRooter.com and click on the careers page to apply. That's DuckDuckRooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter is an equal opportunity employer.
1010XL gives you non-stop sports talk all week.
You got a point.
And we take you into the weekend.
What's this about?
Join Compton and Company noon to 2 Saturdays for more conversation about the teams you care about most.
Oh!
On 1010XL.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to Cam Locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
Hey, sports fans, this is Hayes Carlyon from MyBookie. Look, we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino canceled because real life came calling. Well, MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. I love the live casino. The roulette is awesome. It's so easy and so much fun. Just go to MyBookie and click Live Casino at the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action is in your hands. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL, and a revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. So sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win. Only with MyBookie.
Find your why in your next career move at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion into a fulfilling career, the Y is an equal opportunity employer and is now hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, swim instructors, and more. Plus, Y staff enjoy benefits including free YMCA membership and free childcare while you work. Find your passion, find your why in a career at fcymca.org.
Ackerman Cancer Center's total body MRI is the latest technology in early detection. This comprehensive imaging goes beyond regular scans, providing a holistic view of your health in one 60-minute scan. Schedule your total body MRI at ackermancancercenter.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville, Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Hope everybody had a terrific 4th of July. And I'm going to have a terrific time right now because when this man comes on my program, that means college football is right around the corner. It is the preseason magazine to get every single year. I'm talking about my buddy Phil Steele. And the 2024 Phil Steele College Football Preview is out. We will tell you how you can get your hands on that. And Phil is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Phil, how you doing?
You know, I am doing great, Ryan. How about yourself?
Phil, we are good, and I mean that, man. You are the preseason magazine to go to whenever I have you on. College football is on the doorstep, and I want to talk about Florida and Florida State, some other local schools as well. But do you even think back to when you started this magazine and to where it is now in 2024 and the journey that it's been? It's got to be quite a ride for you.
Oh, absolutely, Ryan. And, you go back to that first year. It was we only covered, I think, 88 teams. It was black and white on newsprint, not like the full color it is now. And we were just one of probably 30 magazines on the market back then. And now we are clearly the best-selling magazine. I know there's not many left, but we're still doing great sales at places like Barnes & Noble and Books A Million, the only two locations we're at. But I had no idea it would turn into what it has turned into 30 years after the first one.
You mentioned Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. That's the place the people here in Jacksonville, Phil, need to go to get their hands on the magazine?
Yeah, the only two brick-and-mortar stores that you can go to are Barnes & Noble and Books A Million. We are exclusively with them, so those would be the only two. Or, of course, philsteele.com. You can order the magazine. And when you order the magazine on the website, we do charge you a shipping charge, but we give you the digital magazine for free. And we actually update the digital all the way through September. So we list Nate Drilling as the as the head coach for Utah State on the digital magazine.
Phil Steele here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. All right, Phil, let's dive in to some local schools. We will begin with the Florida Gators. Billy Napier coming into year 3. We know that seat's getting a little warm for him in Gainesville, and we've talked about the schedule the entire offseason. Phil, I don't know about you, but going back in my memory banks, on paper, I'm not sure if I can remember a tougher schedule for Florida football.
Yeah, toughest schedule in the country this year. It's by far. And when you look at it, I mean, the SEC schedule is brutal. And then you look at the non-SEC schedule, taking on teams like Miami of Florida and Florida State. That's just an unbelievably tough schedule for Florida. But I'll say this. When I went over the team with Coach Napier this year, and I mentioned to him how tough the schedule was, he says, Phil, I think you'll find at the end of the year that it was a more manageable schedule than what you thought. So I think that Coach Napier is pretty confident they're going to come out of this with a solid record. And, last year I looked at the schedule, thought it was pretty tough, did not put them on my most improved team, which would have meant I thought they went from a losing record to a bowl. This year they did make my most improved list, so I do think Florida gets back to a bowl game despite the brutal schedule.
Oh, that's good news for Gator fans. Honestly, there's not a lot of expectations. And, Phil, I think this is Billy's best team coming into year 3, at least on paper. I mean, it should be coming into year 3. Yet will the results show that with the schedule that they play?
I think it will. And, going over the team, let me bring you into last year's conversation with Coach Napier. I said, hey, Coach, Graham Mertz, I'm not wild about him. Not a great why'd you bring him in here? And he said, Phil, I think you'd be surprised. He's very intelligent. He knows he grasps the offense. He's a hard worker. And what does he do? He leads the SEC in completion percentage and only tosses 3 interceptions all year. And now you add in a player like DJ Lagway behind him, who gives him that mobile threat at the QB position. I think they're loaded there. And then you look at the running back core. As long as Trayon Webb steps in and lives up to his PS number 6 billing, teaming with Montrell Johnson there. And they also, of course, add in a couple of solid true freshmen. The running back core looks good. All 8 units rank in my top units in the front of the magazine. And I actually have the Gators favored right now in 7 games. So I've got them winning 7, and if they pull an upset or 2, could be better than that.
Phil Steele here with us. You can go to philsteele.com to get your hands on the Phil Steele College Football Preview. It is available right now. Final thought on Florida, Phil. I mean, you've sat down with Billy Napier. You've interacted with him through the years. My point on Billy the entire offseason, I think Gator fans like him. I don't think they particularly cared for Jim McElwain, to be honest. I'm not sure how many of them cared for Mullen towards the end, but I get the vibe that Gator fans, at least most of them, like Billy. I'm not sure if that's going to matter if he goes 3-9 this year, but if he does go 6-6 or 7-5, I think the fact that he relates to Gator fans and they like what he's doing may help him a little bit save his job in 2024. What's your thought there?
Ryan, not only that, I think that is a big piece of it. I agree. I think a nice 7-6 or 7-5 season, a bowl game, maybe an even 8-9 win season would definitely endure him to Florida fans. But the other thing I like about Coach Napier is the recruiting. And all you have to do is go back and take a look at the recruiting under Mullen and the recruiting under Napier, and it's a lot different. So I like the way he recruits. I like the way he develops a roster, and he's really putting this one together. This unbelievably tough schedule, I think he comes out of this one looking good at the end of the year.
You mentioned Miami to kick off the year for the Gators. Let's go to the Hurricanes next. Mario Cristobal entering year 3 as well, Phil. He's not under the same hot seat pressure that Billy Napier is, but knowing some Miami fans, let me tell you, if Miami loses to Florida on August 31st, Hurricane fans are not going to be happy. That's a big one for Miami as well to kick off the year.
It is out of the box, but it's not a deal breaker for Miami. When you look at the rest of the schedule they have this year, unlike Florida, they play my number 43 rated schedule. And after that, they play Florida A&M, Ball State, at USF, Virginia Tech at home, at Cal, at Louisville. A lot of winnable games. I think he could survive the Florida loss, especially if they beat Florida State at home, where I've got them a slight favorite this year. In fact, the only 2 games I have rated as a toss-up all year are at Florida and at Louisville. Every other game I've got them favored. So I'm very bullish on Miami. I think Cristobal, when you look at the job he did at Oregon, building that team up from where they were to where they got to be when he left to what he's doing here, I think this is by far his best team. You look at the offensive line, defensive line, he's built those things up. He's got my number 7 rated offensive line, number 12 rated defensive line. They got my the quarterback they bring in, and Cam Ward is a big-time addition there. And then the running backs. You had a little question about the running backs coming out of spring. He goes out and brings in Damian Martinez from Oregon State, one of the best running backs in the country. Loaded receiving core, loaded defense. All 8 units rank in my top units in the front of the magazine, and the majority of them rank there in the top 17, only one outside of that, and that's defensive backs, which is number 37. So talent and schedule is there. I'm looking for double-digit wins this year for Miami, and that's why I got them ranked number 10 in the country coming in.
Couple more for Phil Steele. You can check out the Phil Steele College Football Preview at Barnes & Noble. Books a Million. You can also check it out on Phil's website, philsteele.com. To Tallahassee we go, Phil. 13-0 was absolutely incredible for Florida State. They got jobbed out of the playoff, in my opinion. We've talked about that ad nauseum. Now coming into 2024, Mike Norvell, a brand new contract, but a lot of talent left. A lot of talent's going to be playing in the NFL that was playing for Florida State last year. Do you think Norvell has replenished that talent, and could they make a run at another ACC championship?
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Ryan. Prior to talking to Coach Norvell, I had big-time question marks on Florida State. Remember last year they were number 2 on my experience chart. And next week on philsteele.com, I'll start out the week. I'm going to do daily blogs. The first 2 will be about the experience chart and how teams that rate at the top do well. And look at that, number 2 on the experience chart, 13-0. This year they're number 73 on the experience chart, and they lose an amazing 10 NFL draft picks. So I had huge questions about Florida State. How do they replace them? But after going over the squad with Coach Norvell, he feels this may be his best team that he's had. And I think a lot of it goes down to quarterback play. Will DJ Uiagalelei come out close to what they had with Jordan Travis last year? If he does, you look at the rest of the talent at running back, Roydell Williams, Toafili, and Lucas at running back. The receiving core was replenished, adding a guy like Malik Benson coming in from Alabama, Jaylen Brown from LSU. The offensive line has a good talent returning. In fact, I rate their offensive line number 5 in the country. I rate their defensive line number 15. The secondary looks solid. So he's done a good job not only recruiting but using the transfer portal. And this could be a surprising Florida State team. Now, I do have an underdog when they play at Miami of Florida and at Notre Dame this year. And I've got a toss-up game when they play SMU. I don't think they're going to recapture 13-0, but I do think that this Florida State is a legitimate contender in the ACC.
When it comes to the ACC, Phil, is it as simple as Florida State, Clemson, or Miami? Are those the 3 teams you're looking at to win the conference?
Yeah, in my mind, those 3 are clearly the best 3 teams. If you're going to go a little bit deeper than that, I can make a case for SMU, which is making the step up from the American Conference to the ACC. Perhaps even a Virginia Tech, which is number 2 on my experience chart this year, and was playing much better with Kyron Drones. But I think the 3 most talented teams are Clemson, Florida State, Miami.
Final moments with Phil Steele. All right, Phil, Las Vegas loves the Georgia Bulldogs coming into the year. My question to you, does Phil Steele love the Georgia Bulldogs coming into the year?
Yeah, I think they're the most talented team in the country, Ryan. Now, will they run the table like they did last year, going 12-0 during the regular season? I think it's going to be tough. They have to play Alabama on the road, Texas on the road, and Ole Miss on the road. You're talking about 3 top 10 teams all on the road, all in tough situations. But when I look at Georgia, talent-wise, top to bottom, they go 3 deep at basically every position. They have players on the 3rd team that would start for a lot of other schools in the country this year. They've got the veteran quarterback and Carson Beck. They got my number 1 rated offensive line. You know the defense is going to be outstanding under Glenn Schumann as the defensive coordinator, and all 3 units rank in my top 7. And the special teams is solid. So even if they drop a game during the regular season, I see them winning the SEC. And once they get to the playoff, I do think they're the most talented and deepest team. And I think depth is a big factor this year when it comes to the national champ, because when you play in so many games, 14, 15, 16 games, you need to have that kind of depth to sustain injuries.
Phil, when it comes to the tier system in the SEC, Georgia, maybe Texas, tier 1, is everybody else beneath them? Would Alabama and Ole Miss fall into, say, tier 2? What's your thought there?
I would put Alabama and Ole Miss very close. And with Alabama, you know, Kalen DeBoer was in the national title game last year, and I think he's got a better roster this year with Alabama than he had last year with Washington. So look out for Bama. They could surprise a lot of folks. And Ole Miss, this is clearly Lane Kiffin's best team. But I do think Texas and Georgia are the top 2 teams.
We're going to tell you how to get your hands on Phil Steele's magazine in one moment. Phil, final question. We know Texas coming into the SEC, a lot of expectations on them. Take them aside. Oklahoma, Oregon, any of the new Big 12 teams. What team moving into a conference outside of Texas, Phil, do you think will make the biggest impact this year?
From the Big Ten, I would go with Oregon. I really like what Dan Lanning's doing there. They get Ohio State at home. Could very well win the Big Ten, but I did pick Ohio State to win the Big Ten this year. So the team I'm going to choose there, Ryan, is Utah. And when I look at Utah, I think they're stepping into a really good situation. Yes, they lost 5 games last year, but they played the majority of their tough games on the road. They are almost unbeatable in Rice-Eccles Stadium. They've only lost 2 games there the last 5 years, and they get most of their tough opponents at home this year. The biggest change is going to be the quarterback position. Now, last year in August, very underrated, they lost their backup quarterback, Brandon Rose. Then that Cam Rising didn't play all year, and they went with quarterbacks that really struggled just to throw the football. Now Rising's back, Rose is back. They also had in Sam Word. They're going to have the pass attack. They've got top-notch offensive line and defensive line, and I think the Pac-12 last year was really one of the top conferences in college football. They're taking a step down to the Big 12, especially without Texas and Oklahoma there. So a better schedule, better health at quarterback, toughest teams at home. I'd give Utah a shot at even running the table this year. So keep an eye on the Utes. They're my number one surprise team in the country, and I think they win the Big 12.
It is an absolute tradition in my house to get the Phil Steele College Football Preseason Magazine. All right, Phil, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about the website, about the stores. How can they get the book?
I appreciate that as always, Ryan. And, you know, the brick and mortar stores you can go to there in Jacksonville, you can head out to a Barnes & Noble or a Books A Million. Those are the only two locations. So save your gas money. Don't go to Walmart, grocery stores, places like that. Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, the only two locations you can go out and buy one today. Or you can order it at philsteele.com. When you order it at philsteele.com, I'm going to charge you a shipping charge. It costs to mail things. However, I give you the digital magazine absolutely free. And we update the digital magazine all the way through September. We circle the players that are out for the year. We update the write-ups. We'll make like Utah State lost Coach Blake Anderson. They bring in Nate Drelling. We've got that already updated on the digital magazine. So check it out at Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, or philsteele.com.
It's the best college football preview magazine there is. My buddy Phil Steele. Phil, I know you're busy. Thank you for spending time with us here in Jacksonville. We always appreciate it, my friend.
Ryan, I always look forward to our conversations, my friend. I appreciate you having me on today.
That is kind of the unofficial kickoff to my college football season. Whenever I get to chat with Phil Steele, you know college football is right around the corner. Let me do my Wolfson math here. 50 days. That was easy. 50 days from today is the first Saturday of college football. 7 weeks from tomorrow, Florida State and Georgia Tech over in that football hotbed known as Dublin, Ireland. More on college football coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, but we're going to shift gears to the National Football League. Our NFC West preview will wrap up tonight with the Arizona Cardinals. Tyler Drake of ArizonaSports.com. He is at the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. Dan Pizzuta is a writer of the 33rd Team website. That's one of those analytics websites. He had a lot of thoughts about Trevor Lawrence's contract and what Trevor Lawrence should be making based on his play. I think some of you guys might find that conversation very interesting. We're going to talk with Dan Pizzuta coming up tonight in the 7 o'clock hour as well. But let's keep it local for right now with my pal JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com, Jaguars Radio. I had the opportunity to catch up with JP prior to all the Jaguar folks getting away for a little vacay. Keep in mind, we're only 2 weeks from today till the Jaguar rookies report to training camp. Let's take a look back on the offseason that was, dare I say, the Josh Allen extension, the Trevor Lawrence extension, the stadium passing through the city council, maybe the most productive Jaguar offseason in franchise history. I don't think that's too far-fetched. We'll recap it all. JP Shadrick next on a Friday night edition, a week-ending edition of Hacker After Dark.
Play-by-play sports just sounds better on radio. For high school, college, and pro sports play-by-play, turn on 1010XL.
An ACL tear can be a devastating injury with prolonged pain and rehabilitation. Hi, I'm Dr. George Bari. I'm a sports medicine orthopedic surgeon who grew up right here in Jacksonville and then went on to train with the world-renowned Dr. James Andrews. At Bari Orthopedics, we use the most current techniques to get you back on the field with less pain and quicker rehabilitation. We treat all types of sports injuries with the newest techniques available. Please call us for consultation or visit BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
How nice would it be not to worry about your AC unit for 10 years? What? Vaughn's Heating and Air, standing by their units for 10 years. Imagine not having to think about your AC unit for a decade. Vaughn's 10-year warranty covers the parts, labor, and refrigerant. Basically everything. No fictional problems that will cost thousands. This is legit. An AC unit with no repair costs. Wouldn't that be nice? So remember, if your AC unit won't turn on, just call Vaughn's. That's Vaughn's Heating and Air.
Want a one-stop shop when it comes to commercial or residential construction? Then pick Preferred Builders. They should be high on your list. Over 70 years of construction experience combined with exceptional product and service warranties. They've got a team ready to tackle any size project. In fact, they've built their business in Duval by offering superior work at reasonable prices, and reputation over time means something. Honest and knowledgeable, reliable and responsive. Be sure and put Preferred Builders into your game plan for your next construction project. That's Preferred Builders.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
In sports, the grind outside the lines is what ultimately defines our success. Get the amateur's edge, powered by B3 Better, to learn the hidden path of top pros, amateurs, and coaches. Saturday mornings at 11 on 1010XL.
Enjoy the thrill of the grill at John Smith Subs, with specialty subs like the Steak Bomb, the Gator, plus a full lineup of cold and hot deli subs, including the best Cuban in Duval. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs on Hodges and JTB.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here. Did you take Awaken 180 up on dropping 40 pounds by the 4th of July? If you did, this week you'll reach that goal. So congrats. And if you didn't call Awaken 180, why not do it now? Fast weight loss, easy weight loss, and then free support for life.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
Clearwater. John, I can't even mow my side yard. It's so soggy. Man, my builder sucks.
Brent, calm down. This is a common problem in neighborhoods where houses are built too close together. You need gutters and a properly installed French drain that will soak up subsurface water. We can completely dry it up.
So I can take my builder off my speed dial now, huh?
Yeah, we got you, buddy. Let that builder bitterness go.
Clearwater irrigation and drainage too.
What's more American than grilling out for the 4th of July? Check out southernsteerbutcher.com or our social media channels for all of our 4th of July specials running June 29th through July 7th.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguar offseason in the rearview mirror. OTAs are done. Minicamp is done. A little downtime now before the team comes back at the end of July and we kick off training camp. Let's look back on the offseason that was, including the big finale last week with Trevor Lawrence getting that brand new contract extension. JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com and Jaguars Radio, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. JP, how you doing, man?
I'm well, Hacker. Everything's good. The off season's here. Vacation time is upon us, and
final kind of bits of business before that vacation are about to come into play this week, it sounds like. So, yeah, good to be back with you, man. What's up?
JP, we haven't discussed things on air since OTAs began, and we'll get to those in a moment. But obviously, first and foremost, the Trevor Lawrence contract last week. Your reaction when the Jaguars locked up their franchise quarterback for an additional 5 years?
Well, I mean, yeah, you had to get it done, it felt like. I mean, you didn't want to go into next season, his fourth season, with him having to, quote unquote, prove that he's the franchise guy. If the franchise feels like he's the franchise quarterback, then go ahead and make him that. And, eliminate any speculation or conversation on the contrary, right? So go ahead and get it done. Yes, the money will only go up if you had waited any longer anyway. And it seemed like, in the grand scheme of quarterback deals, a pretty fair one. So I think it's a positive on all fronts. And now for the Jaguars, for the next 7 years, it sets up your salary cap. Everything else can play around that deal with the quarterback. You have that as a baseline now. You know you have to have that money. And you can build everything around that contract. So it sets up the books for a while, and it puts the quarterback at ease. It puts and now it puts all the pressure on him as well. He's got to go back it up and perform and play at the high level that we know he's capable of each and every week. Because you thought there was a lot of focus on his play before. Just wait until he's getting 55 a year. That microscope will be on him at all times moving forward.
Well, that was the interesting thing, particularly last Friday and over the weekend. Everybody seemed to have an opinion about Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people nationally went after that contract, and yet everybody here locally, basically, but a fair amount of people nationally, I thought, defended that contract. It seems like Trevor is a very polarizing topic. You're either on one side with him or the other, and there's not a lot of gray area.
Yeah, but that's kind of the world we live in now, right? Everything's got to be polarizing or something. I mean, it's you can make the argument. I could see the argument where some people would say, that, okay, maybe he hasn't deserved that contract yet, right? He's won one playoff game, and in that playoff game, he had 4 interceptions, but he won the playoff game. But that's it, right? That's really been it. 2 winning seasons, 2 9-win seasons in 3 years. Is that enough to deserve it? But the other perspective is the one we just talked about, right? He is, and that's the nature of doing business in the quarterback marketplace these days for a franchise guy. Okay, you go ahead and set it in place if you feel like the improvement is going to come. And that's where this organization is right now. And what is the alternative, too? I mean, all of a sudden you can go find another one of these guys. Like, if he's not your guy and you wait and something happens and he's not playing, whatever it is, do you just go find it? They don't grow on trees. Like, you waited, 25 years to have the number 1 overall pick or whatever it was? You're not going to get another one anytime soon, you hope. I don't think anybody here wants to go through that again. So you finally got one in the building. Take advantage of it.
JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com and Jaguars Radio here with us on 1010XL. And JP, look, I mean, the bottom line is Trevor Lawrence, there's been some good, there's been some bad. I compliment Trent Baalke for getting out ahead of this, beating Miami to the punch. I know Tua down there is going to want more than Trevor got. It probably would have been vice versa, the other way around. And you combine the Trevor deal with the Josh Allen extension about a month or so ago, boy, a really productive 4 to 6 week period here for Baalke and that management team to get Allen and Lawrence done for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, you got your leadership on both sides of the ball locked in, and that's important. The quarterback is obviously the main one. Josh Allen kind of sets the tone in a lot of ways for the defensive side of the football. And there are a lot of questions about what this thing's really going to look and feel like. There's a new coordinator and some new faces on the defensive side this year, but you know the one that played well last season and has a couple Pro Bowls under his belt already. That's a cornerstone piece for your organization, and the right kind of mindset, the right kind of guy off the field you want to represent your organization. And that one made a whole lot of sense as well. So, and he said it, he played well at the right time and kind of figured a lot of things out going into last season of how he wanted to approach the preseason. and his off-season program and all those things. He wasn't around a lot. It made him focus a little bit more during the season. He said that a few times this offseason, so he continued that this year. Now he's locked in for the long term. So, yeah, having the cornerstone on each side is key, and then you can kind of build around those key pieces.
JP, you were out there at every OTA, at every mini camp practice. Admittedly, look, helmets, and sometimes, most of the time, was ball caps and, T-shirts and shorts. I mean, I get it, but it's all we can go on for where we are right now in the calendar. Your thoughts overall on the roster? My word about it's competition. There looks like just a ton of competition, and particularly wide receiver, O-line, D-line. There are going to be some guys that get cut. The Jaguar fans know who they are. The Jaguar fans have watched them play for the Jaguars over the last couple of years, and a numbers game is going to happen, and some of those guys won't be on the final 53-man roster.
That's what happens when you have a better football team, right? I mean, if you've improved in certain areas, you feel like some guys that might have contributed in the past may not contribute anymore, and that's just life in the NFL when you're getting better as a roster, and that's part of the deal, the churn. And everything that goes with that. I'm interested in seeing what this wide receiver core really looks like when it comes full speed. And they're lining up against guys against them. I mean, Brian Thomas looks great in shorts and a shirt. Okay, that's cool. Let's see it when things get real a little bit. And Gabe Davis didn't do a whole lot in this offseason program. But if he's healthy and ready to roll at training camp, which he should be, that'll be something to watch. That'll be fun to watch, in fact, and how Trevor kind of figures out some chemistry with him. But the offensive line it's still a big question mark because you haven't been able to have much contact, really no contact this offseason. They haven't had helmets on. What have you really gained from them? Not much, at least of what they can do. You'll find that out when they put pads on in training camp and start pushing players around. And Mitch Morris will be a great addition, it feels like, but let's go see it. And then Ezra Cleveland, they re-signed him. You got a veteran right guard and Sheriff, second-year tackle at the right side of Anton, and then Cam Robinson going into, year 8? And Walker Little's in that mix, too. So not a whole lot of new there. So that'll be a big competition, I think, to see. Maybe even a left tackle, right? Let's just see who comes out, who has the most physicality about them at all 5 spots. And I don't think anything's guaranteed anywhere across that offensive line.
Couple of more for JP Shadrick of Jaguars.com. The O-line in particular, I look at the 5 starters who we presume are the 5 starters, Robinson, Cleveland, Morse, Sheriff, and Harrison. Well, you could do a lot worse at offensive line 6 and 7 than Walker Little and Luke Fortner. Guys that have played a ton of football in the NFL. They got the 4th-round pick in Foster out of Missouri. They seem to love Cooper Hodges. And that's one of my points. You look at the O-line, then you go to the D-line, JP, with the additions of Eric Armstead and Trevis Gibson and Jordan Jefferson and Mason Smith on top of Roy Robertson-Harris, Devon Hamilton, on down the line. Man, a lot of big bodies over there. We're going to wait and see when they put the pads on. I get it. But from the eye test, it looks like those 2 positions have been improved greatly.
Yeah, exactly. And, is Devon Hamilton right? Is he back? Is he healthy? Is he 100%? And that's what I'm talking about, too, with the pads and the physicality of the game. You don't know, really, in the offseason program until it gets real. Because what he went through last year was something that, not even in sports, I mean, it was something he's fortunate to get through, period. So, let's see how he comes back. Is he ready to go? And some of these young guys, right? Mason Smith looks great, has the traits that you want. Jefferson is apparently one of the about the strongest rookie in the class that they have. Just pure strength, which is going to be fun to watch. And but stopping the run starts there. That's something they didn't do a lot of in key moments. They've got to play better up front. And competition will help do that. And they've got some veteran guys mixed in there, but it all starts in the interior. And let's see some pads on, Hacker. I can't wait, man. This is the off season's great. It's fun. Everybody's happy. Everybody's 0-0. But once the pads go on and things get real, you'll find out who can compete and who can't.
Yeah, I often say June, July, and August are the 90 days of hope, and reality strikes you dead in the face come September. And sometimes that reality is good, sometimes it's bad. Hopefully for the Jaguars, it'll be good. JP, I want to ask you about a veteran and a rookie. I'll begin with the veteran. He wasn't out there at minicamp because he got excused, but I got to tell you, man, every OTA that Evan Ingram was out there in a 7-on-7 or whatever type drill against the defense, man, he was doing something productive. Now, he had a great year last year, almost set the all-time record for catches for a tight end in a single season. He's looked awfully good this offseason. To me, I'm very excited about Evan Ingram again here in 2024.
There's a lot to be excited about, right? I mean, the guy has his head on his shoulders. He's physically strong. He's a great route runner. He's as smart as they come. And he's got chemistry with the quarterback and chemistry with the rest of the receiving core, it feels like. Him and Christian Kirk were really the keys to this offense, I think. And you saw that when Christian went down with injury last year. It just kind of lost its teeth, if you will, in the passing game. Some of that was the offensive line play. There were some changes there, obviously. But without Christian Kirk there to kind of help relieve some of that pressure, it was all kind of on the shoulders of Evan Ingram. And I don't know if he can do it himself, right? And that's kind of where they broke down last year. But if you have Ingram and Christian Kirk out there, then you got something. And that's you can play then. And he's so versatile too, Evan is, because he can line up anywhere, outside, in the slot, off the tackle, and he is well above average at all three. And you can find a mismatch somewhere if you line him up in one of those spots. And that's what it's about in this offense, finding the mismatches and then exploiting them and taking advantage of them and having the time to do that too. It all kind of works in unison, but Evan Ingram is about as good as it comes in that regard, because he's somebody that can mismatch a lot of defenders and surprise you with how fast and how well he can run those routes.
I just thought he was fantastic during OTAs. And the rookie I want to talk about, we mentioned Brian Thomas and Mason Smith. Jarian Jones, he's another one that I can't wait for the pads to come on, because, again, every time 22 was out there, it seemed like good things were happening. For a late third-round pick, there's a lot of intrigue to me, JP, about what Jarian Jones potentially could become.
Well, yeah, I think there is too, because there's an opportunity on this team for a young player to come in and contribute pretty quick in the secondary. Now, about Jarian Jones, you'll hear him before you see him. I think he talks a lot, which is some corners are kind of like that. They have to talk through it on their own. We've been around corners in this team that like to talk, but then go back it up sometimes, right? That's kind of it feels like so far his MO. He's going to talk through it and talk to you about it and talk to the other team about it. And, okay, that's fine, but then go perform. And let's see that. This is going to be a secondary that's going to be aggressive. They're going to be up on the last scrimmage. They're going to be physical. And, can you do that and maintain and sustain it throughout the season? I think that's a big question. But I'm excited to see what he has to offer, because, in theory, the pass rush will be there and the secondary will have some new faces in it. And if Jarian's right there in somebody's face, he might have some action. And that's a good thing to see. And I'm excited to see what he has to offer.
Final moments, JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com and Jaguars Radio. JP, as we make the turn for home, give Jaguar fans somebody that maybe is not on the radar for them. Maybe it's a new player or an under-the-radar guy from last year that has kind of jumped out to you in the last month during this offseason program.
Yeah, I'm curious, we know the top three receivers, right? I mean, that seems pretty clear. Maybe the top four if you add Duvernay in there. Who are they keeping 5 or 6? Who are the next two guys? I think that's something to watch. There'll be special teams contributors for the most part. I think that's the hope, at least, because you want your starting 3 or 4 out there. And then if you're going too deep, then that can become a little bit of an issue, because that means somebody's probably down. But, Elijah Cooks, they've been working on him for a couple of years. Is he going to step up and really be that next threat? He's got the height. He's got ability. Hasn't quite put it all together yet. And then a guy like Tim Jones, who's been here for now, 4 years, 3 years, special teams guy, good player. are those guys ahead of some of the undrafted rookie guys that are trying to make an impact at wide receiver? A guy like Cephas, just to name a name. I mean, that's something to watch in training camp early, because I think that's a position where you have to do a number of different things. Yes, you have to know the offense and run a bunch of different routes at different spots of the offense, but you better play some special teams and coverage skills, tackling ability. It all goes into that. I think that's something to watch. Are those guys that are somewhat incumbent at that position locked in? I don't think so. But somebody's going to really have to make a splash in training camp, I think, to overcome those guys who've been around for a couple of years.
Yeah, I think wide receiver's interesting. I think corner as well. There are 6 draft picks over the last 3 years that are competing behind Tyson Campbell and Ronald Darby, with Prince and Jones, Eric Hallett and Braswell, and then if you go back to Monteric Brown and Gregory Jr., which of those young guys will emerge behind Tyson Campbell and Ronald Darby? JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com and Jaguars Radio. JP, I know it's a little downtime for you guys before you really crank it up. I believe July 23rd, if memory serves, is when the guys start coming in for training camp. What does the schedule there at .com and Jaguars Radio look like once training camp gets underway?
Oh, yeah, once it gets – I was going to say, right now there ain't nothing. But once it gets underway, we're going to have daily coverage of training camp, of course, on the team website. Our morning program, Jags AM, will be around most days. And then the radio shows begin, I think, the second week of training camp. And then we're back at it. So we've got a lot in store coming up this training camp. But this is the next month or so. Some vacation time, a little planning for some of the shows later in July and August, but we're ready, man. I don't know, ready's a little too strong. Give me another couple more weeks and I'll be ready. I think we're getting to that point.
Yeah, I got one more vacation planned, and then that's basically it. I know you do as well. Enjoy a little R&R over the next month. JP, we'll see you out there at training camp in a couple of weeks.
All right, Hacker, have a good one, man.
There you go, JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com, here with us on Hacker After Dark. Always enjoy talking with JP. And, it's interesting. Today's July 5th. The Jaguars season ended on January 7th. So, again, it'll be 6 months, basically, since the season came to an end. Just doesn't seem like 6 months, right? I guess because so much happened. You go all the way back to Mike Caldwell being fired and the entire defensive staff, or not the entire, but a majority of the defensive staff being blown out, and then all the activity in free agency, the draft, obviously, the Calvin Ridley saga, re-signing Josh Allen, re-signing Trevor Lawrence, the stadium deal. I mean, there is a ton that has gone on in the last 6 months. Some off seasons, admittedly, just seem to drag a little bit. I didn't think this one did, and I'm on here every night talking with you guys, and maybe that's why, too. There was just so much to talk about pretty much every night over the last 6 months with so much going on. But, yeah, 6 months since the season ended and 2 weeks till the rookies report to camp on Friday, July the 19th. One of the big stories of the offseason was Trevor Lawrence getting that 5-year extension. You add that to the 2 years remaining on his rookie deal, and the Jaguars have him through the 2030 season. Most people here locally love it. There are some nationally that had some issue with it, I guess. We like to have all opinions here on Hacker After Dark. We'll hear you. If we don't agree with you, that's fine, but we'll at least hear you out. Dan Pizzuta, the 33rd team, that's one of the analytic websites. I enjoy the work they do with the 33rd team, and Dan Pizzuta is one of their main guys. He had a lot of thoughts about not only the Jaguars offseason, but that Trevor Lawrence contract, and we'll hear those thoughts next on a Friday night in Jacksonville, Florida, with Casey Dobson and Anthony in there running the board. How about that? I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. We're glad you're with us. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Green Bay Packers. This is Hall of Famer Jerry Kramer. Has a nice ring, doesn't it? They won their 4th under Vince Lombardi. And you are listening to 1010XL.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
I'm Frank Frangie with the Nimnik Nugget. I've been talking AFC South with some of the broadcasters this week, and here's what I'll tell you. It's going to be one of the better divisions in football, and nobody seems to believe that. Well, you know the Texans were really good last year, and everyone's talking about C.J. Stroud. I believe the Jags are way more the team 2 years ago than they were last year. People think the Jags are pretty good, and Anthony Richardson has become all the rage for the Colts, who also had a winning record last year. Don't sleep on the AFC South. It really is legit. I'm Frank Frangie for the Nimnik family of dealerships. Frank Frangie here, ready to experience used-phoria? You can with Car Bravo at Nimnik Buick GMC, Jacksonville's only Car Bravo certified dealer. Buying a certified used vehicle has never felt better. With Car Bravo, Nimnik Buick GMC can certify all makes and models: Honda, Toyota, Kia, Mazda, Ford. Nimnik Buick GMC is proud to be named the #1 Car Bravo dealer in the Southeast region and top 10 in the country. So shop online at Nimnik Buick GMC. Nimnik, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and now that you have Honda boats on the showroom floor, tell them about the big boat sale.
We are excited. We got a big sale, 11th through 13th. You want to come on down, see us in person. Some of our boats are going to be up to $30,000 off.
Up to $30,000 off?
$30,000 in savings. It's a big sale event.
So they can start shopping online at cyclesofjacksonville.com. The size of the boats?
Anywhere from 19 to 24 foot, all with legendary Honda outboards.
Honda and Coach, check them both out on Atlantic near Regency. Cycles of Jacksonville.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
If you're an experienced, skilled plumber or welder that's MedGas certified and you're tired of working for a company that just doesn't treat you right, Local 234 is the place for you. Their pay is the best in the business. You'll walk away with $35.09 an hour in your pocket. With benefits, that's just over $50 an hour. Local 234 has been around since 1901, and that means something. Visit UA234.com to send your resume. Local 234. Make the right connection.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular strength training is key to maintaining muscle mass. Like muscle building, you need to stress the muscle to maintain strength. This means lifting enough weight and doing enough reps to the point where it's too hard to do one more. Yoga and Pilates are also lower impact muscle building workouts that help maintain lean body mass and improve flexibility. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Prime Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 904-902-8222. 904-902-8222. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 904-902-8222.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker. After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars cap off what I think was a pretty successful offseason, getting Trevor Lawrence signed up to a 5-year, $275 million extension. You combine that with the Josh Allen extension, the things they did in free agency. probably some cause for optimism now coming into the 2024 season. Let's talk about that Trevor Lawrence contract, and let's talk about the offseason that was here in Jacksonville. Dan Pizzuta does a great job covering the league for the 33rd team, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Dan, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. All right. I saw you wrote a story after Trevor signed his contract extension, going into all the numbers, the analytics, the decimal points about everything that Trevor's done here through 3 years of his career. Dan, overall, your thoughts when you saw Trevor get that 5-year contract extension?
Yeah, so it made sense to me. One, because I think you see the flashes when Trevor Lawrence really has gotten the ability to show what he's been able to do. I think when you see that, you see the potential for a plus quarterback there. Obviously, he has yet to kind of live up to expectations, but I think that kind of says more about the expectations we had of him coming in as this top overall pick than really like what his play has been. So when you look at what he potentially could be, and that's still what you are paying for in future years of this deal, right? You're going to be paying him for what he still can be, not necessarily what he's done the past 3 years. It made a lot of sense. I liked what Jacksonville did in getting this deal done early too, because it's a 5-year extension, but they're still using the 2 years from his this upcoming year and the 5th-year option. So they're really paying this deal off over 7 years. So that helps make some of the cap hits a little more manageable going into the season. So it's a little easier to build around a contract that is this big. So I think when you look at what Trevor has been, what this offense can be with him, kind of in an ideal situation, I like what they did.
Dan Pizzuta of the 33rd team here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Dan, I'm curious your perspective. Trevor Lawrence just seems like a polarizing figure. I mean, when that contract was signed or the extension was signed, boy, some national folks just dug in and said, you know what? He's a bust. He's not worth the number 1 pick. What are they doing? Some other folks, including most of us here, quite frankly, came quickly to his defense. And there's not really a gray area, right? You're either seemingly pro-Trevor or you're anti-Trevor. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it kind of comes with the expectations that came in with him being that number 1 overall pick. And not just the number 1 overall pick. It was, he was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick really since he stepped on the field at Clemson. So there was just all of this buildup coming into what Trevor Lawrence was kind of supposed to be, expected to be. And then, he hasn't been that through 3 years right now. So I think there are a lot of people who I think probably don't pay close enough attention, who are disappointed in what he has been. He hasn't completely transformed what the Jaguars have been, but I think that is kind of missing the point and missing some of the context of why that has been the case in Jacksonville. Because I think when you do look at what Trevor is kind of had control over, it's still there's a lot of good there. So I think when you kind of look at what that second half of the 2022 season was, and I'm sure you in Jacksonville you can completely ignore whatever the 2021 season was. I think everyone is kind of happy to do that. But over the second half of the 2022 season, when he was kind of ripping it, and they completely changed the offense to kind of fit his strengths. He was kind of masking an offensive line that they didn't really have a lot of trust in. He was getting the ball out really quickly. They kind of built it around this quick game that is really one of Trevor Lawrence's superpowers. And that kind of led them to that stretch of the second half of the season, led them to the playoffs in that playoff win. That's kind of what they built it around. And then in 2023, they wanted to have more of a traditional offense, but it kind of became quickly evident that they still didn't trust the offensive line and some of the things that they had hoped were going to work in that offense. So they kind of reverted back to what that second half of the 2022 season was, where it was kind of a break glass and of emergency type of thing in 2022, but then it just kind of became the offense in 2023. And I think Trevor was a little bit of a victim of his own success and how good that offense was in the back half of the 2022 season. And it wasn't really a sustainable plan for 2023. And I think you saw a lot of the kind of condensed things and a lot of things that just weren't really working well in the structure of the offense. And Trevor kind of put it on his own shoulders to overcompensate a little bit. And I think that's where some of his struggles came from. So I think when you kind of look at overall of what Trevor Lawrence has been in Jacksonville, kind of falling below expectations, I kind of think a lot of it is contextualized with kind of what the offense has been around him and what he's had to do to try to make that offense better around him too.
Couple of more for Dan Pizzuta of the 33rd team. He's here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. And Dan, you mentioned the offense around Trevor. The wide receiver room is incredibly different now than it was 9 months ago. Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Jamal Agnew out, Brian Thomas, Gabe Davis, Devin Duvernay in. Obviously the return of Christian Kirk, who's healthy. We know about Evan Ingram. We know about Travis Etienne. Your thoughts on the skill players around Trevor heading into the 24 season?
Yeah, so in theory, I think they can be a much better vertical group of receivers. And I really hope that's what Jacksonville is going for here. Because I think when you saw going back to, the first half of 2022, even some of the bits in the second half, and last year, they did not really have the consistent vertical element that allowed them to really stretch the field vertically. And then they weren't doing enough to, stretch the field horizontally either. So they just weren't making enough of, the space of the field, which we see a lot of the best offenses in the league do. So I kind of hope with Brian Thomas, with Gabe Davis, they are going to transition to a little more of a vertical piece of this awesome where they can still stretch horizontally, but they can push the ball down the field vertically. I think that's where Trevor is at his best also. So if I'm cautiously optimistic that is where the whole Jacksonville team is kind of figuring where some of the deficiencies were last year, and that's what they're seeking to fix coming out, because I think in theory these guys are going to be much better stretching the field. But again, like we kind of hoped and thought that was going to be Calvin Ridley's role last year, and then he just kind of turned into this, miscast a little bit, still running a whole bunch of hitches, not running downfield quite as much as we thought he was going to be. So I hope this isn't going to be that with these two receivers, but in the ideal situation, I think, pushing the ball down the field with these two guys who can be a very good vertical threats, I think that is probably the best version of what this Jacksonville offense could be.
Not to put words in your mouth, Dan, but it sounds to me like maybe you have an issue with what Press Taylor and or Doug Peterson are doing here in the offensive game plan. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, a little bit. It's just kind of it was disappointing, and I don't think there was a lot of growth in what they potentially could have done. And kind of like I said, I think the offense was a little bit of a victim of its own success with what they did in 2022. And I think that was kind of, that was a nice change on the fly, where the offensive line wasn't working, or we're still figuring out some wide receivers, but we have this quarterback who can be great processing and get the ball out quickly. And that worked a little bit. And then they tried to transition that into 2023. And then that kind of became the entire thing they built the offense around. And it was really static. There wasn't a lot of motion. It just wasn't stretching the field and taking advantage of all the space that was there. A lot of, hitches and comebacks and things like that. And areas where Trevor was able to make those throws, they were still getting completed, but that's not a way you're going to be creating yards after the catch. It's just not a way you're going to be creating explosive plays. When they did try to throw it deep, it was in a lot of, straight static go balls. And again, those are kind of low percentage types of plays. So it wasn't getting the most out of what potentially was there. And I just don't think they did a very good job of adapting what that could have been last year. But with the personnel changes, it looks like at least they do, in theory, understand what does need to change. But I would kind of like to see it happen on the field before I'm fully bought in.
Dan, as we begin to wrap up, back to Gabe Davis for a quick moment. That one was pretty surprising to me when the Jaguars signed him, the negativity that got from around the league. And look, did Gabe Davis live up to expectations in Buffalo? Probably not, but I think those expectations were a little far-fetched after that 4-touchdown game in the playoffs a few years ago. The guy just turned 25. The guy's got 28 career receiving touchdowns. The guy returns to his home state. I got to tell you, man, I'm not trying to drink the teal Kool-Aid down here, but I'm pretty high on what the Jaguars potentially have with Gabe Davis. What's your thought there?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where I think the expectations and reality need to align a little bit. And I think there were, slightly higher expectations for Davis after he did show like some of that explosive ability. And again, like he was a 4th-round pick. He's great for a 4th-round pick and what he has been able to produce in the NFL. But he's going to give you a very specific type of skill set. He is going to be that vertical type of receiver, and that can create some big plays. But if you're kind of looking to stretch him a little more than that, I think that's where, your expectations are going to be left wanting a little bit. So he is a very good receiver for the role he is hopefully going to be asked to play in Jacksonville, especially if this is going to be a more vertical-based offense. But if you're, hoping he's going to, show flashes of beating, press consistently and maybe being a really good, receiver over the middle, those are some things where those traits aren't exactly going to translate. So he is going to be a very good, role player, that type of like wide receiver too. And that is good. And again, like those kind of guys don't necessarily hit free agency all that often. So I understand why Jacksonville did what they wanted to do. So, he's a good receiver. If you're going to expect him to, change an offense and somehow be a great receiver, I think that's where, the expectations are a little misaligned.
Final moments, Dan Pizzuta of the 33rd team. Dan, as we make the turn for home, quickly to the Jaguar defense, an overhaul, right? New defensive coordinator, Mike Caldwell out, Ryan Nielsen in. And you look at the personnel they added from Mason Smith and Jordan Jefferson and Jarian Jones in the draft, to Eric Armstead, Trevis Gibson, Darnell Savage, Ronald Darby on in free agency. I mean, there's going to be 10 guys that are different on that defense than what ended the year in January. What's a quick thought on the Jaguar defense from you heading into the year?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Nielsen and especially what he was able to do in Atlanta last year, where they kind of, mix and matched a lot of things that, they kind of made up for not having a lot of talent on that side of the ball. It still ended up as one of the better defenses, or at least a top half of the league defense last year, where you kind of, you had a really good safety. You had a good corner who's been up and down in A.J. Terrell, and I think that's kind of similar to what Tyson Campbell has been, a guy who I like a lot, but again, kind of, dealing with some injuries and some inconsistent play last year. And then they were able to create pressure with some blitzes and some good looks without really having an edge rusher last year. Like Calais Campbell was their leader in pressures. And I know Jacksonville fans are going to be very familiar with Calais Campbell, but again, at 36 years old, he shouldn't be leading a team in pressures at this point, but that's what he was in Atlanta last year. So they were able to kind of figure out some ways to, create pressure, create some turnovers, and create some just kind of overall chaos in a way where they didn't really have the talent to do that. And I think the talent is going to be a lot better in Jacksonville, especially when you look at like what Josh Allen can be. I think he's going to be in for another big year. Again, I said I like Tyson Campbell on the outside. They have a lot more to work with there, and I think that's going to be a very good match with what Nielsen's going to be able to do.
Dan, final question. The AFC South, man, you go back to August of 23, it was thought to be the worst division in football, right? The most boring division in football. Now all of a sudden, here we are, June, July of 24, coming into training camp, and dare I say the most improved division, one of the most intriguing divisions with Houston and what they did, Jacksonville. The Titans spent $1 billion in free agency, and obviously Anthony Richardson comes back in Indianapolis. I mean, what's a quick thought, Dan, from you on the division, the way you see it playing out coming into the year?
Yeah, like you said, it's a very interesting division, which is not something that you could have said about the AFC South for, a while. And I think every team is going to bring something interesting and something fun to watch for this upcoming season. And again, I think it's going to be tough for these teams to kind of stack up with Houston in the way they've kind of really built. And, you kind of luck into CJ Stroud there and what he became. And I think they were really smart in the way they built around him this past year, bringing in Stephon Diggs, extending Nico Collins, who was great last year, and then really building that defense in a way that's going to, I think, really fit what DeMeco Ryans is. So I think they should be the clear favorite. And I think Jacksonville, if they can, like we said, get their, offense kind of in order, there's still a lot of upside there. I'm really interested in the Colts because I think the things Anthony Richardson did in his, few games played were very impressive. And I think I became more optimistic of what he could be the more I saw what Shane Steichen was able to do building an offense around Gardner Minshew. So if you could do that for Gardner Minshew and almost lead the Colts to the playoffs, I think I'm very optimistic about what he can do for a full season with Anthony Richardson. And then again, the Titans should be really interesting on defense, have a lot of good skill position players. They're putting Will Levis in a position to succeed. I'm not totally sold on Will Levis. I'd kind of like to see him, what he can be in this Brian Callahan offense, which is going to be interesting. But yeah, like you said, it's going to be an interesting division. These AFC South games are going to be, fun to watch, which again, not something you can say consistently across four teams for, many divisions right now. And you definitely could not have said that for the AFC South for at least a couple of years.
Dan, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, man, about the 33rd team and what they can look forward to when they head on over to the website.
Yeah. We're always, doing some good stuff. A bunch of us got some good writers over there, still consistently putting out some stuff over the off season. I'll be having once a week. I'll be doing some quarterback deep dives, and that was what the Trevor Lawrence was this week. I think I'm writing for Anthony Richardson this week. Levis is going to be coming up soon, so there's going to be a lot of AFC South material from me there. So yeah, you can find all this stuff on the 33rd team. I'm over at Dan Pizzuta on pretty much every social media that I have, and yeah, I guess that's about it.
Dan, really enjoyed the conversation, man. Thank you. We'll talk again soon.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
There you go, Dan Pizzuta of the 33rd team here with us on Hacker After Dark. And again, I didn't necessarily agree with some of the things he was saying, but I like differing opinions, right? And there's a good back and forth. You don't have to argue with somebody. If you have a disagreement, you just talk about it, and that's what we did. And I appreciate Dan coming on to give his thoughts on Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. It's interesting. I went on with the folks on Mad Dog Radio on Sirius XM earlier this morning, and they were asking me about Jacksonville and kind of where they stand in the division. And I tried not to be a homer, but I think it is going to be Jacksonville or Houston. To me, it's a 1 or 1A situation. I'm not breaking any news there. I don't think Houston is head and shoulders better than Jacksonville. I just don't. Remember, before the collapse happened, Jacksonville went into Houston. Trevor Lawrence went into Houston and beat a very hot Texan team with C.J. Stroud last year. And then the injuries piled up. Kirk got hurt the week later. Trevor Lawrence got hurt the next week, and everything went to heck after that. But I know Houston's added some nice pieces. They added some older pieces, right? Danielle Hunter's a good player. He's 30. Stephon Diggs, a good player. He's 30. Joe Mixon isn't exactly 25 anymore. I do like what they did, but I like what the Jaguars did. And I'll tell you a sneaky team, too, and I told you guys this a lot last year. Shane Steichen did such a good job for the Indianapolis Colts. To be in that position to have a game in Week 18 to win the division with Gardner Minshew as your starting quarterback was incredible. And if Anthony Richardson is who they believe he is and he can stay healthy, which is a big if, Indianapolis will probably be in the mix too. I don't buy Tennessee. I think they'll be better because they did literally buy as many players as they could this offseason, but I still don't think they're going to be in the running for the division title. But to me, I'm probably on, you give me 10 chances. I'm going to take Houston 4 times. I'll probably take Houston 5 times, Jacksonville 3 times, maybe Indianapolis 2 times. Give Jacksonville a 30% chance of winning the division, Houston 50, Indianapolis 20. And again, I don't buy the Titans. But I think top to bottom, 1 to 4, the AFC South, when you think of all 4 teams, is about as good as you can have. They're probably not the AFC North, and they're probably not the NFC North. After that, I think they're in the conversation for every other division in the National Football League. And that includes the NFC West, and we'll wrap up our NFC West preview coming up in less than 15 minutes. Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com, talking Zay Jones, talking Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., and the Arizona Cardinals offseason. Coming up next, more on the National Football League and some big news to our south in Orlando when it comes to the Magic. Did you see this earlier this afternoon? That's next, Friday night edition, Hacker After Dark.
We live where they vacation.
I got my toes in the water, toes in the sand. Not a worry in a world of cold beer in my hand. Life is good today.
1010XL.
Life is good today.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and I have exciting news from Leonard Truck Outfitters, now with 2 great locations to get that truck hooked up. Beach Boulevard just past Southside and one on Blanding. I got my truck taken care of, and you should too. Leonard Truck Outfitters, your truck, your style.
What's spelled funny but smells great? A Kuhn Flowers floral arrangement. Kuhn Flowers. The name is synonymous with excellence for over 75 years. High Flying Jacko here for your next floral purchase. Call on Kuhn Flowers.
Mia here, and we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino? Canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. The live casino is so easy to use. Just go to MyBookie and click Live Casino at the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action's in the palm of your hands and you don't even need to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL. A revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win, only with MyBookie.
It's soccer around the world, and here at home on the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour, Monday evenings on 1010 a.m. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley for Soccer Talk, Mondays at 6 on 1010XL.
Hey, it's Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. If you're like me, you're getting crushed by rising costs of everything these days. I get it. It's brutal, and credit card rates are ridiculous and going higher. That's why at Loan Pronto, we launched our Express Equity Line of Credit to bring you the relief you and your family need, using your home, your most valuable asset. We've helped thousands of people like you get fast relief with cash. The average homeowner who does this gets tens of thousands in just days and is able to save $850 per month in overall expenses. I'm talking life-changing money. Your money that you have access to right now. Listen, if you're ready to get control of your finances and get off the hamster wheel, call Loan Pronto. You can get approved for Express Equity Line of Credit in just minutes, and we can get your cash in less than a week. Stop digging a deeper credit card hole today. Call Loan Pronto now. 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. 904-999-1508.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS consumeraccess.org.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Canines for Warriors provides veterans with lifelong companions in one of their highly trained service dogs. If you know a veteran who could benefit from a companion or simply want to support, visit caninesforwarriors.org.
Your love can give pets a purpose. To adopt a loving animal from the Jacksonville Humane Society, call 725-8766.
Having a mentor can positively change a young life right here in Jacksonville. It only takes 4 to 7 hours a month to be a big brother or big sister and change a life forever. Become a big today at bbbsnefl.org.
There's a critical need for all blood types. Please consider donating to a local blood donation center.
If you could benefit from a grief and loss support group, call Haven Hospice at 279-1677.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
What word is misspelled on the Liberty Bell? The answer next.
Does your homeowner's insurance company contact you before, during, or after a big storm? If not, then it's time for you to contact Southern Oak Insurance. Find us online at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The word Pennsylvania is misspelled on the Liberty Bell, which is unfortunate as this monument is featured in the Liberty Bell Center in Philadelphia.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours. If you're looking for custom metalwork, look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Whether it's custom railing, shade structures, or custom entry gates, their expert team controls the turnkey process. From CAD design and raw metal to powder-coated finish and expert installation. When you choose Superior Fence and Rail for your custom metal project, you get a project that's, well, superior. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail today.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. You know, pool design has come a long way, and if your pool is outdated, Stanley Pools specializes in bringing older pools up to date for the whole family to enjoy. That's why I did it a few years ago, and man, I love the way my pool looks now after we added travertine pavers and so much else. Stanley Pools has been serving our community since 1988, so call them today at 269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville, he's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, I am. NFC West preview wraps up this week. We've already made stops in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, and in Seattle. Tonight we will end with Arizona. Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com, the new home of Zay Jones, former Jacksonville Jaguar. We'll talk Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., and more with Tyler Drake as our NFC West preview concludes. That comes up in less than 10 minutes. Big news down in Orlando earlier today. Franz Wagner, a brand new 5-year contract extension worth $224 million. Could be worth up to $269 million with incentives. And now Orlando they already did have the best young forward combo in the league with Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Wagner gets his money this offseason. Banchero will get his money next offseason. You would expect Jalen Suggs to get his money down there pretty soon. And that's the trio, right? Suggs, Wagner, Banchero. They're all 22 years old or younger. And that is the trio that will lead Orlando to the promised land. They will add around those guys. They added Kentavious Caldwell-Pope earlier in the week. They got Wendell Carter, Jonathan Isaac. A lot of good things going on with the Magic. But Franz Wagner, after averaging 18 points a game, I believe 6 rebounds a game this season, is handsomely rewarded with a brand new contract to keep him in Orlando for the next 5 years. Speaking of the NBA Summer League, actually gets underway next Friday. All the draft picks that we saw a couple of weeks ago, they will be out in Vegas for the NBA Summer League, which the Vegas portion of that begins July the 12th. I always love that. You don't have to wait to see the rookies for 3 or 4 months. They get thrown right into Summer League action out there in Las Vegas. NFC West preview. San Francisco done. Seattle done. The Rams done. Our final stop this week is out in Phoenix. Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com. How will Zay Jones fit in with the Cardinals? Marvin Harrison Jr. is out there. Of course, Kyler Murray. Is Arizona going to be better than many people think? I'll ask Tyler Drake that. He's our guy when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals, and he's next on a Friday night in Jacksonville, Florida, with Casey Dobson, the hacker Ryan Green with you. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
What was that?
It's called radio.
It sounds bigger.
The one and the only king of the airways.
1010XL.
It's time to fire up your grill, shoot off some fireworks, and launch one of the biggest sales in the history of the United States. It's our Independence Sale happening right now at Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet. Whether you drive a car, a truck, or an EV, everyone is welcome to celebrate our Independence Sale with the lowest prices, largest inventory, and the most love for our country. Come celebrate with Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville. You don't want to miss this.
Beard's Diamonds' incredible Christmas and July sale is back.
Everything store-wide is on sale up to an unbelievable 40% off.
But it's only happening till July 31st.
Don't shop anywhere until you shop Beard's Diamonds.
At the St. John's Town Center.
Mystic Cornhole Company builds the best high-quality custom boards right here in Jax. Perfect for weddings, tailgating, your business, a day at the beach, and a great gift idea for you-know-who. See their designs at mysticcornholecompany.com.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's challenger, a paint color namer from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Irving Stapler.
Hi, Howie.
So the next round is word association. I'll say a word and you give me the first word you think of. Engagement ring.
Jeweler.
Gas station.
Fueler.
Aaron Burr.
Dueler.
Air conditioning.
Wow. Jeez. That's a toughie.
Come on, Irv. The sponsor's gonna kill me now.
Oh, Bueller.
That's right, Irv. If your AC is struggling through the summer heat, the first name you should think of for fast, friendly, 5-star service is Bueller Air and Plumbing. The name to know to make sure you are cool.
Have a beer, Irv.
Cooler.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Fish are good at hiding. Captain Kevin can help you find them.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Find more fish on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
Thursday nights at 6.
Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss on 1010XL AM.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford.
In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
Are you tired of having a plain and boring backyard? Really want to impress your family and friends this year? Then stop by Stone Core on Phillips Highway. Imagine hosting guests at your new outdoor kitchen, relaxing by your custom-built fireplace under a brand new pergola. Stone Core can also remodel your old pool deck and beautiful new pavers. Make your backyard wishes a reality. Visit Stone Core on Phillips Highway and let's get started at stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Calling all disc golf enthusiasts. Play It Again Sports Jacksonville wants your used discs. Now through June 29th, earn cash on the spot plus $5 in sports bucks for every $25 of disc golf gear we buy. Play It Again Sports also stocks new discs from your favorite brands like Innova, Discraft, Discmania, and more. Stop in today and shop our huge selection. Merrill Road near 295 in the Merrill Station Shopping Plaza or online at playitagainjax.com.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, presented by FIS, takes the field this season at 1-1 Financial Ballpark as the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. Tickets start at just $5, fireworks after every Friday home game, and kids run the bases after every Sunday game. JackShrimp.com. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable, family fun.
Hey folks, Nick
looking here for Zero Res. You and I know Zero Res loves cleaning carpets in your home. But did you know Zero Res can also clean the carpets where you work? Take a look at the floors where you work, and if they need cleaning, suggest to the boss they call Zero Res. For the month of July, Zero Res offering 20% off all commercial carpet cleaning. Call Zero Res, and they'll come out and give you a free estimate on what it will take to get the job done. Zero Res, man, you spell it forward. Zero Res, you spell it backwards. Zero Res, it's the right way to clean.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville, it's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us as our NFC West preview continues. We will make stops in Los Angeles, Seattle, San Francisco. Tonight, it's all about the desert. The Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray, a brand new wide receiver, and Marvin Harrison Jr., and a friend is now in Arizona, of course, former Jaguar wide receiver Zay Jones. Our guy when it comes to the Cardinals is Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com and host of the Cardinals Corner podcast. And Tyler's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Tyler, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Hey, Tyler, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. All right, last year, as we review before we preview, obviously Kyler Murray coming back from injury. There were a lot of issues with the team. Towards the end of the year, it looked like they started figuring some things out a little bit. What was the thought heading into the offseason about the way the Cardinals finished 2023?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's just exactly that, as they are figuring things out. The culture and the foundation has been built. Now it's about stacking wins and really showing that this, off the field, different vibe can really translate to success on the field, because right now off the field, it feels like a completely different organization than it was just a couple of years ago. So, they only won 4 games last year, definitely have to have improvement. But from the standpoint that a lot of people out here at least needed to see, they took massive steps forward. Now it's just about finding that success and those wins on the field now.
Where is Kyler Murray? Obviously, an established quarterback, one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC, no question. He's had injury problems, as we just alluded to. What is the thought on Kyler heading into the year?
Yeah, he's fully healthy. He's feeling really good. He even told us this offseason that this feels like one of the best off seasons he's had in a while. And honestly, from myself and a lot of other people around here, we can all see that as well, just from his continued, buying in this, I guess, is not even a thing, but you could say it is. Just his buying in of the whole system and everything that they've got going on here. You can really see that on display. He's at all the voluntary work. He's at, mandatory where they all have to be. But, there's no outside storylines really around him. I think the big storylines really is he's getting that much closer with his teammates and his coaching staff. He's taking some of his teammates out to, Oklahoma and getting some batting practice in, or going and getting some shots up at the Oklahoma City Thunder game. So we're seeing a different Kyler Murray. I actually wrote about this on ArizonaSports.com. It's a new era of Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. I think last year you needed to kind of see if it was going to go one way or the other with the new coaching staff, with a potentially franchise quarterback. Obviously, they weren't the people that drafted him, but could they get together and be a cohesive unit? And I think you can really see that now. So it's just, what's the next step? Where can Kyler get to? And how can he really take this more traditional offense to that next level?
Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com and host of the Cardinals Corner podcast. He's with us here on 1010XL as our NFC West preview continues. A lot of excitement, I would imagine, about the possibilities between Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. How has Marvin Harrison Jr. looked in OTAs and minicamp, and what's the thought on him coming into the season?
Yeah, it looks easy. And I think for a rookie, that's a very good sign. It just, everything the dude does, everybody talks about it. There really is, it just seems like an aura around him. It seems like him and Kyler are already gelling really well. Him and a lot of his wide receiver teammates are as well. I mean, Michael Wilson, it seems like each of them are really picking each other's brains and really getting a lot of info from one another. So I'm really interested to see how that relationship really helps each of them grow. But from the sounds of it, he's very much in the playbook, not as vocal, but gets his work done and shows it, and his work ethic is on display. They've talked about having to maybe tell him, hey, you got to reel it back. Don't do all this extra stuff. But it sounds like he's checked all the boxes, and everything is advertised, as Monty Osborne even came on Arizona Sports and said that with Bickley and Murata, I believe, not too long ago. So just it seems like everything everybody said about him, it's everything he's doing. I have not heard one bad thing about him, and obviously he's the number 4 pick for a reason, and I think a lot of us are seeing that right now.
The last time Arizona took a wide receiver that high, his name was Larry Fitzgerald, and he's going to be in Canton, Ohio one day. I mean, look, not to say Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the next Larry Fitzgerald, but, I mean, are there whispers about the comparison between those two out there?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And I think just from where he's coming from, his background, I mean, his father's in the Hall of Fame. So that alone, I think the expectations are already raised. And, you know, for me, being out there, even when the Cardinals had DeAndre Hopkins, I think it's almost a mix of Hop and Fitz a little bit. You can see a lot of the intangibles that each of them had. And so now it's going to be interesting to see how that translates to the field, because, I mean, Kyler's got to play with both of them. So it'll be very, very interesting to see that dynamic with him, but it's just not him anymore. They've got so many other weapons. So I'm really interested to see how they get him his targets, but still maintain to feed everybody else around him.
You've got one of our favorites out there now, Zay Jones. We hated to see Zay go, but it was a numbers game here. He was probably going to be wide receiver 4, which meant special teams, which wasn't going to happen at Zay's point in his career. How has Zay Jones come in and looked so far?
Yeah, I think he's doing everything they've asked of him, and he seems like a very, very down-to-earth person. Just talking with him, we got to speak with him one time, and yeah, he seems like there's a reason why he's been kind of a favorite where he's been. I'm really interested to see the competition for wide receiver 2 between him and Michael Wilson. I think that's the battle right now. That's one of my favorite ones, going to be going into training camp and seeing who comes out of it. And I think Michael Wilson might have the leg up right now just because of his connection with Kyler and having already a year in the system. But given Zay Jones and what he's done, there's no reason why he can't, come up the ranks and really fight for that wide receiver 2. But I think all in all, he's still going to get a lot of production in this offense that is just, like I said, going to have a lot of people getting involved this year.
What about the rest of the skill positions, tight ends and running backs? I think Arizona's got one of the most underrated running backs in football in James Conner. Speaking from a fantasy standpoint, that guy was money last year, Tyler. I'm a big James Conner fan. What's the thought on the rest of the offense?
Oh, yeah. And, I would say if you're on that trend, I would go again because I would expect a lot more from James Conner this year. The run game, this is really the Cardinals are built on this run game. They should have a top 5, top 10 offense from a running standpoint, at least. I mean, last year they ended the season with Kyler. They were top, if not one of the top 2 teams from a rushing standpoint. So I expect a lot of big things out of there. And then, you've got Trey McBride as a tight end. He's an up-and-comer. Everybody's just speaking highly of him. I think he was just at the tight end university with George Kittle and all those guys, and they spoke up him there. And so definitely somebody to watch. And then, like I said, Michael Wilson, and you got Greg Dortch as a slot man. And he's a really sneaky, I think, add, maybe a late waiver wire or a late round or maybe a waiver wire add for people in fantasy football, just because he's going to get a lot of looks being the slot man and having the type of relationship he has with Kyler. I mean, Kyler said if he was 6'3", he'd be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. So he's just one of those dudes that's going to get a lot of looks. And then, you've got Trey Benson behind James Conner as well, the rookie. You also got Michael Carter. That's going to be another battle I'll be looking for too, is who can be the RB2 and who's going to really be that change of pace guy, fill in maybe third down or so. So, a lot of different weapons they've got to use. I feel like I'm forgetting 1 or 2 people still, but just a lot of weapons that they haven't had in previous years.
Couple more for Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com, and host of the Cardinals Corner podcast, as our NFC West preview continues. Defensively, when your head coach is the former defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, you would expect them to be sound on the defensive side of the ball. How does that unit look coming into 2024?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions. I think this is a big prove-it year for multiple positions. Obviously, and there needs to be who's gonna separate themselves at cornerback starting, at least CB1. I think Sean Murphy-Bunting has a starting role for sure, but who's really going to take that CB1 role and who's going to be alongside Sean Murphy bunting after that. Then you've got interior defensive line took a huge step forward in talent just with Bilal Nichols. You got Justin Jones. You went and got Darius Robinson in the first round. And now it's just, how can that rotation really fill in, and can they really take that next step, especially against the run, in my opinion? And you've got outside linebacker. That's another big one, because who's going to step up on there? Is it B.J. Ojulari? Is it Zaven Collins, who's made the transition from Mike Backer to outside linebacker last year? They did not pick up his fifth-year option, so there's a lot of question marks there. And, I mean, safety is probably the most locked down position because it's Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson. And, yeah, that's probably the biggest – that one's the most locked. I think outside of that, yeah, there's just question marks up and down. But the talent has been improved. It's just a simple fact of, can you go win games now, and can you really perform to the level that they're asking you now of?
What is the thought on Gannon out there coming into year 2 as the head coach? Obviously 4 wins, not what they hoped for in year 1. And I would imagine no pressure yet, but you probably want to win more than 4 this year, correct?
Yeah, definitely. And I got to give a shout out to Kaiser White and Mac Wilson Sr. because they definitely locked it down in the middle. Inside linebackers, that is a very locked down position. But yeah, with Gannon, the mood out here is everybody, I think, is liking what they see. It's now just, yes, a matter of, can you win now? I think everybody's been asking for this kind of culture flip, foundation flip, whatever you want to call it. And you're seeing it. It's definitely been a reset for this organization, and it starts with Monty Osfort and Jonathan Gannon. So now it's about, you can say all the right things. Now, can you put it on paper and actually get it done? Because right now they're doing everything right. Now it's year 2, and I think that the expectations have raised even more. They've got the people that they wanted in the draft and through free agency. So I think the uptick in production now has to take a substantial, increase. And I don't want to put too much pressure on it, but I think, yeah, it's not crazy to say that they could double their win total this year just based on the talent, but they've got to go out there and actually perform to get to that point.
Tyler, as we wrap up, I've been all over the division all week. The vibe I've gotten, San Francisco, clearly the team to beat. There's a lot of questions, right, in Arizona, in Seattle, and with the Rams, especially life after Aaron Donald, life after Pete Carroll. What's your thought on the division, the NFC West, heading into the season?
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I think San Francisco is still the team to beat until they don't have Super Bowl runs or don't have their postseason success. And then, yeah, from there, it's really a crapshoot. I think it's really anybody's game for that second slot. I think, yeah, there's a lot of questions with every one of these teams. It's a matter of which ones are going to get answered now and which ones are going to take a little more time, because I feel like everybody's kind of this, McVay's still there, but everybody's kind of in a little bit of a rebuild, reset, what do we do now phase. And I think the Cardinals are a little bit ahead of the game in that aspect, but there's still a lot of talent in LA. Seattle still is just, I feel like Seattle's just a unique situation always. So I really do think it's up in the air outside of the Niners, really taking home NFC West again, or unless they get knocked off. But from my standpoint now, that's kind of how I see it shaking out.
Tyler, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about ArizonaSports.com, your podcast, and what they can look forward to if they want to check in on Zay Jones. You mentioned Trey Benson, the former Seminole running back. If they want to get filled in on the Cardinals, where can they find you?
Yeah, definitely. ArizonaSports.com. You can find all my work there. You can find us over on YouTube at Cardinals Corner, or you can find us which is on the Arizona Sports YouTube, or you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. But yeah, Cardinals Corner, we try to do a weekly show while we're not in season. Hoping to have some more guests. We just had Elijah Jones and Max Melton on, a couple of rookie cornerbacks. So had a really, really fun time chatting with those guys. We've had Paris Johnson on, a lot of different players of that stature. So it's definitely a lot of fun, myself and Lauren Koval. But yeah, check out all my work, ArizonaSports.com. You can follow me on all social medias at TDrake for Sports, Instagram, Facebook, X, all of it. You can find me there.
Tyler Drake, he's our guy when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals. Tyler, I know you're busy. Thank you as always. We'll talk again soon, my friend.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
And thank you to Tyler Drake of Arizona Sports and the Arizona Sports Cards Corner podcast for joining us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville as that wraps up our NFC West preview talking Arizona Cardinals. We were absolutely slammed tonight. Again, Tyler Drake of ArizonaSports.com. We've been all over the NFC West now. San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, and tonight Arizona. Not breaking any news here. I like San Francisco in the division. I do think the other teams are going to be competitive. I like what LA has done. Seattle will see life after Pete Carroll, and certainly Arizona with a healthy Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., Zay Jones now in the fold. I think Arizona will certainly win some more games in 2024. Also, thank you to Dan Pizzuta of the 33rd team for stopping by. We talked Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Phil Steele of the Phil Steele College Football Preview. Love talking college ball with Phil. And whenever we have Phil on, you know we're that much closer to the start of the college football season. You can get his magazine at philsteele.com. You can also check it out at Barnes & Noble or Books A Million. I really appreciate Phil taking time out for us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. And my buddy J.P. Shadrick of Jaguars.com as we reviewed the Jaguar offseason. And offseason, that's basically over. 2 weeks from today, as a matter of fact, the Jaguar rookies will report, and the veterans come into training camp on July the 23rd. Well, that'll do it for a Friday night edition. We've been in for Baloo tonight. It's been a very busy evening and a very busy week here on Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us, not only tonight, but all week here on 1010XL. Casey Dobson was your producer tonight. Casey, great job as always. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, I hope you had an absolutely terrific 4th of July. I know some of you were off today enjoying that 4-day weekend. And again, we cannot possibly tell you enough how much we appreciate you listening to us every night here on Hacker After Dark. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Friday evening and a fantastic weekend. And we will do it all over again Monday night, beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
You demanded more of us. You demanded perfection. But we have won every single game we have played till now.